Hello, ladies and gentlemen. John here with you. It's a Friday, September 20th, 2024. How's everybody doing out there today? This is NFL Picks Week 3. Last week, put my butt to the wind because they stunk 6 and 9. But the total is still 16 and 13 on the good side. It helps when you start 10 and 4. So that makes up for the 6 and 9. My total is 16 and 13 on the year. Full transparency as always to let you know how good or how bad I'm going to do. Last week, I got bit by all the half point games in week 1 where I did not. And I think that might happen again. But like I said last week, I was hoping more for like an 8 and 7 type deal. That didn't work out that way. I think we're gonna get there again. I will get above 500 week, and we'll try to get things back on the right track. But there is some injury concerns, so that might start the opening pick with a loss. Pittsburgh at home taking on the Chargers. Chargers and Jim Harbaugh get 2.5. Right now, they don't know if it's Justin Herbert or Easton Stick. And my only thing I can say about the Chargers and the reason why I'm going with them this week is that the defense is elite. And Pittsburgh's not scoring any touchdowns anyway. It's Chris Boswell kicking his brains out and getting the Steelers a couple of victories. And I think Justin Fields is due for a mistake. Give me the Chargers. Give me the points. Indy at home playing against the Chicago Bears 1.5. I went back and forth on this, but Chicago looked decent enough, and their defense is pretty good. Indianapolis is probably the better team, and against my better judgment, I'm going to take the 1.5. Maybe Chicago gets an upset. That's a toss. Probably go with the Colts. I'm going to take the Bears. Houston and Minnesota. Minnesota getting 2.5 at home against the Texans. I'm not saying the Texans aren't a good football team, but the way that I've seen Minnesota play over the last couple weeks, I don't think I can afford to shortchange them anymore. They're the home team and they're getting points against Houston. Maybe the Texans do win by a field goal and I take this loss, but I'm taking the home team and the points. Give me the Vikings. Cleveland and the Giants. Again for Cleveland, I don't care for them too much. For the Giants, I don't think they're a very good football team. But at some point, the roost comes home and you figure out what the Giants are. I already know what they are. Just give me Cleveland. Maybe I don't cover 6.5, but I'm not overthinking this. New Orleans at home, taking on a very wounded Philadelphia Eagles team that didn't play that well on the Monday night side. New Orleans starting the year 2-0, and Philadelphia getting a 1.5. They're begging me to take them without A.J. Brown. I'm not taking the bait. Maybe Philadelphia gets it. Maybe they close it out. But I'm taking New Orleans only having to cover 1.5. I've seen this spread at 3 or 4 for Philadelphia. If that was the case and it wasn't my line, I probably would take the Eagles at 4 or 5. But at 1.5 for me, I'm taking New Orleans. Tampa and Denver. Tampa only has to lay 6.5 against the Broncos and Bo Nix. Tampa's played well. They got that victory over the Lions last week. They look good. They've still looked good all year. I'm taking the Buccaneers, only having to cover 6.5. Tennessee and Green Bay. I don't know if it's going to be Malik Willis. If it is Malik Willis, probably take the Titans here, but they're saying that Jordan Love might play and Green Bay is getting points. Well, Green Bay won last week, and Tennessee isn't really a strong offensive team. And if Jordan Love does play and I get 2.5 points already, I'm just taking the Packers. Maybe this would change if I did the picks on Saturday. I probably should, but I'm going to go ahead and take the Packers. So Bryce Young's benched in this game as Vegas will host Carolina. Carolina, the Panthers get 5.5, and Vegas just beat the Ravens last week. I know I could take this week to week and say that Andy Dalton, the red-headed rifle, is going to get things going on track and probably stay within that number, but the Panthers are still a bad team. Andy Dalton has started lit it up last year. I think he had about 380 yards. But considering Vegas just came out with a victory against the Ravens, I think the Ravens are desperate. Vegas has to have some talent. All they got to do is cover 6. They might not get to it, but considering what happened last week, I'm just going to take the Raiders. This is probably where I'll go against Cooper Hopkins here. And I'm going to take Skylar Thompson and the Dolphins 5.5 on the road against the Hawks, who are 2-0. Seahawks, they've looked good. They've won a couple games, but a couple of these have been too close in between the Patriots. Now they started having to win it with a field goal. Look, a win's a win. and I'm not going to shy away from that. I'm not going to say that Tua Tagovailoa isn't better than Skylar Thompson, but Miami's still got weapons. And whether or not the ground game doesn't work with Chain, they can still throw through the air. I think the 5.5 point spread's too big. Give me the Dolphins. I don't know if they win this one, but I think they can cover that number. Detroit and Arizona. Arizona, man, they looked really good against the Rams last week, and Detroit still does not look right. Could this be a get-right game against the Cardinals? Cardinals have played them pretty close over the last few years, and I'm also getting points at home. To take the Cardinals, I'm going to take the field goal against Detroit. I think Detroit's desperate. They need this win. But right now, I could still see them only winning this game by 2, 3, 4 points. If they win by 4 means I'm going to lose. But I don't feel comfortable enough taking Detroit right now unless that spread was a little bit smaller. Baltimore and Dallas. Baltimore is 0-2 on the season. They have to go on the road against the Cowboys, who got lambasted last week. And Baltimore is desperate. They need the points. They need the win. I think John Harbaugh is going to figure it out. It's only 1.5. They've got to get a victory here. And considering Dallas got destroyed at home last week, they can say that they can right the ship. I think Baltimore needs this very badly. Both teams honestly need a win. This could be an interesting game. I'm going to take the Ravens. I feel like I have to. San Francisco and the LA Rams. Kyle Shanahan has owned the Rams, and the Rams are still beat up with their offensive line, whether it's anybody on that side or Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp. Let me see if I can scroll through this really quickly. Right now, it's Robinson and Johnson on the receiver side, so both of them are out, and that line is destroyed. I don't care whether or not you're not going to have Christian McCaffrey or whether or not they get Doc the pick or no George Kittle. Give me the 49ers. It's 7.5. I know it's a lot and it's the road, but considering the way that they've played the Rams and got everything squared away, just give me the 49ers. I'm not overthinking it. Kansas City and Atlanta. Kansas City going to Atlanta, only having to cover 3.5. This one's going to be very close, I feel like. Honestly, Kansas City's kind of been playing with their food a little bit, and that bothers me. But a win's a win, and that's all they care about. They don't care about spreads. Right now, the spread is 3 on the RotoWire side. That is where I'm at 3.5. Kansas City probably gets to 5. And Kirk Cousins in prime time, sometimes he doesn't look good. On Monday night, he looks good. I'm going to go ahead and take Kansas City on the 3.5. Maybe they cover 4 or 5, and they'll just get above that number. Buffalo and Jacksonville. I flip-flopped on this one before I actually went live to try to do these picks. I'm going to take the Bills at 5.5. I was going back and forth because of the rain at 56%, they say, but it's at home. Buffalo only has to cover a touchdown, but this could go either way. Jacksonville's 0-2. Again, it's another desperate team. Can they afford to go 0-3? Because if they go 0-3, they might be done for the year. I'm going to take Buffalo. I'll take the team that's 2-0. And this is where I will close. I know it's probably an upset special, not a good one to take. Cincinnati at home, they're 0-2 against the Commanders, who are 1-1. Spread's 8.5 for Washington. I know it's probably a sucker's bet, but I'm the sucker. I'm going to take the 8.5 points. Maybe Cincinnati wins this one by 10. Again, T. Higgins still questionable. I'm just going to take the points. And my tiebreaker for the Lions and the Cardinals will sit at 52. Again, tiebreaker didn't matter when I went 6-9 last week. Hopefully to rebound from the 10-4, still above 500. Still feel good. I still feel like this could be good enough to pick. I'm just telling you for the opener between Pittsburgh and the Chargers, that one's tough because if Herbert doesn't play, Pittsburgh might cover that 2.5 at home, but they're kicking field goals all day long. You need touchdowns at some point. And it's the same thing I would say for Chicago and Indianapolis. That defense is still look good enough to where the upset could be there. And for Cleveland, I know it's a lot of points at 6.5 to cover against the Giants, but I just don't trust the Giants all that much. And the other thing for Miami and Seattle, Seattle probably wins that game, but Miami getting 5.5, even with Skylar Thompson, I think it's too much. So that's what I'll stick with this week. As far as the picks, I'm not going to have any problem with that for Friday and Saturday, but for getting the recaps, you probably won't see those written recaps for me for a couple weeks because I just don't have the time. I think Sunday might be a surprise assignment. I might cover the Indiana Fever against Connecticut. I want to see Caitlin Clark for the first time in the playoffs. I haven't covered any WNBA games. I might do that at 3 p.m. Eastern, maybe before I hang out with Lauren if she's available on Sunday. I think I can get that one in before I have to finish off on Sunday night. So look for that. But during the week, I got a haircut, dentist appointment, and a concert in between the next week's side. So I'll be busy, but I still think I'll be able to get a couple games in whether or not we go to the Tigers in the wild card side. If Caitlin Clark has a chance to close thing out on Wednesday against Connecticut, I might cover that one as well if I have enough fun with it on Sunday. So probably be a couple assignments upcoming to look forward to, and hopefully a rebound in the picks. You guys have a good one, okay? And we'll talk maybe in a couple days. Peace.